It's week 12. It's the first full week of 2025, and let's break down how it all plays out for fantasy basketball. Michael Bolton, let's get going.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and for the next episode, I'm going to do the whole show in my Gilbert Gottfried impression. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com and find the newsletters, the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team, LockedOnDaily.com. I know you're here ready to double bang, and I appreciate all the bangs that you've thrown this way, and let's chuck a couple more. On this video, watch the video, listen to the audio, and also check out the live trade deadline show. The landing page is up. If you can pre-like, pre-bang, pre-comment on that video, it will be great. Chuck it in your calendars as well. We're here on National Whipped Cream Day, ready to preview Week 12 in the NBA, Matchup 11 on Yahoo, Matchup 11 in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowls, Week 12 in Matchup 12 in other sites. It's just the 12th week of the NBA season. That's where we're at. So let's take a look at how this week breaks down. Another, honestly, fantastic week in terms of how the schedule looks for viewability, for analyzing, for playing fantasy. Everything is actually fantastic for this week, which you don't always get to say. How does it play out? Well, here's how it plays out. We have, on Monday, it is sort of busy, 9 games. It's 7 on Tuesday. It's 8 on Wednesday. It's 8 on Thursday. It's 7 on Friday. It's 7 on Saturday. And it's 9 on Sunday. What a ridiculously good week. No day with fewer than 7 games. No day with more than 9 games. It's either 7, 8, or 9. I have been doing this show a long time. This is, I think, I'm almost up to 3,500 episodes of this show. I was working in the fantasy industry before I started the show for a little bit as well. And I don't remember ever seeing a week where it's just 7, 8, or 9. I don't. It's probably happened. I just don't remember it ever happening. And that's really quite a pointless story. But that's good. It's good. How does it play out in terms of games played? The majority of teams play 4 games. There are 18 teams that play 4 games this week. There's one team, and we've been talking about this since last week, there's one team that plays 5, and that is Phoenix. Of course, they played 2 in the last week. They've got 5 this week, Phoenix, and of course, they're going to miss games because that's what they do. So we don't know if Bradley Beal's going to be available. Does that mean Kevin Durant's going to play all 5? Does Devin Booker play all 5? I don't know. But they've got 5. There are 18 teams with 4. I'll just tell you what the names are. Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Detroit, Indiana, Miami, Milwaukee, Minnesota, New Orleans, New York, Orlando, Philadelphia, Portland, Toronto, Utah, and Washington. All got 4. And then the remaining 11 teams play 3, so no one has a 2-game week. So that's Atlanta, Boston, Cleveland, Golden State, Houston, the Clippers, the Lakers, Memphis, Oklahoma City, Sacramento, and San Antonio have 3 games for the week. But as you know, if you are a avid watcher of this show, an avid listener of this show, game volume is one part of the equation. It's not the entire part of the equation because you're going to come down to the sort of league that you're in as well. If you're in a weekly lock league, then you're in different scenarios and daily changes leagues. If weekly lock league, this is the moral of the story. Just get more games in. But in a daily changes league, volume of games is important, but when they occur is more important. So it could be very easy to say, well, grab your Phoenix Suns players. And with the Phoenix guys, obviously you've got the big 3 guys. Nurkic will be back from his suspension. You'll have Tyus Jones and Grayson Allen, and all those guys are going to be usable and probably top 100 in cumulative value during the week, assuming that Beal plays. But does that mean that you want Mason Plumlee? Does it mean you want Ryan Dunn? Is there going to be value in those guys? Not necessarily just grab them at the start of the week and go, they've got 5 games, I'll use them. That's a poor use of, I think in general, it's a poor use of the abilities that you have this week. Now, again, it's very easy to say that I'll grab Ryan Dunn, I'll play him 5 games this week. That's cool. That's that little spot there. Great value, fantastic. Love doing that. But is the value of that player who might be the 230th best player in total value, even with 5 games on, is that more valuable than actually getting good players in that spot? Well, that's another question that's going to be something we're going to attempt to answer on the show today. So let's do that. Let's hit the stream zone. Let's talk. Well, first of all, let's hit the stream zone. Let's talk quality games. I think you know where this is going, the direction that the quality games segment of the show is going to go, because there's a quality game every single day. Maybe this gives me the extra chance to tell you again what a quality game is. A quality game is a game got nothing to do with the opponent. Not at all. It is just a game that is played on a lower volume day in the NBA. And my cutoff for that is 10 games. So if it is 10 or more, not a quality game. If it is 9 or fewer, then it is a quality game. And as you just saw, every single day this week is 9 or fewer. So every single day for the vast majority of daily changes leagues, every single day this week has the ability for you to stream someone in and find an active roster spot for you. Now, your league, in your roster construction, you might have 4 players from 2 different teams, and they all play on the same day, and that crowds up your roster. That's cool. But for 99% of you, you will have an ability to add someone and start them every single day this week. That is what we talk about when we talk about quality games. So in terms of how do we maximize streaming for the week? Well, I already gave you a bit of a clue just in that early part there, and that with one way to do it, and that is with the Phoenix side of things. I'm going to leave the Phoenix side out of it just for now, because there are 2 different ways you can approach this. Usually, if you are in a standard format where you've got 4 ads for the week, that is a standard number of ads. You might have 3, you might have 2, you might have 7, right? But a standard is 4. Usually you would dedicate one of your spots in a daily changes league to streaming in. What is streaming, you may ask, new fantasy basketball player? Welcome to the show. Streaming just means using a roster spot and just churning through different guys. It doesn't mean you hold on to the guy all the way through. You use him and go, we got 2 games here. Move on to the next guy. Move on to the next guy. Turning one roster spot into way more games played. And with streaming ability every single day this week, we've got a couple of ways we can do this. We can use one roster spot, and with our 4 moves, we can turn one roster spot into 7 games of NBA action. As a general rule, right, you are talking about who your worst player is, and if your worst player is a player that's playing 3 games, one of the 11 teams that plays 3 games this week, if you drop that player, you can get 7 games out of that roster spot. How do you do it? Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back, 2 games, 1 ad. Wednesday, Thursday, back-to-back, 2 games, 1 ad. Friday, Saturday, no back-to-back. So singular stream on Friday, 5 games, 3 ads. Saturday, Sunday stream, 2 games, 1 ad. 4 ads, 7 games. That is plus 4 games from one roster spot. 3-game player turned into a 7-game player. So whoever your worst player is, as a general rule, you are adding 4 extra games in, and that is a huge bonus. You can, if you also want, use the bottom 2 roster spots on your team and stream them in. The problem with that strategy is, for this week, is you don't actually get that big of a games advantage. You'll only get plus 4 games. Because if we're doing it that way, right, well, there is one other way to do this. But if we're doing it, let's leave Phoenix out of it. But if we're doing it this way, we've got 2 spots into 10 games. What you can do with that is then you can use those 2 spots and stream in 3 games in 4 nights, Monday through to Thursday, with 2 roster spots. So that is, let's assume both those roster spots are 3-game players. So that is, from those 2 spots, you'd get 6 games for the week normally. If we use them and stream both of those slots, and we go 3 games in 4 nights, Monday through to Thursday. So that's 2 ads, 2 roster spots, and we've gotten 6 games out of 2 ads. And then we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday left during the week. Now, no one plays back to back to back. So for the final 3 days of the week, you will get 2 games. 2 games from each roster spot with 1 ad each. So that means you've turned each 3-game roster spot into 5 games for the week, using 2 ads on that slot, which is a total of 10 games from 2 roster spots, but that is still only plus 4 games. Because if we're using the bare minimum of those 2 roster spots giving you only 3 games, 6 each, so 6 total, all right, we've turned 6 into 10. That's plus 4, obviously. The way that you can do it marginally differently, and this is going to depend quite a bit on who is available, but if there is a Phoenix Sun player available, you can add a Phoenix Sun player, you can drop a 3-game player, and turn it into a 5-game Phoenix Sun. Now, Royce O'Neal's probably going to be out all week. Beal, Booker, Durant, Jones, I'm guessing, are rostered everywhere. Nurkic returns from his suspension, so if he was dropped, he works really well here. Grayson Allen is probably the only other one that really makes it worthwhile. And we don't even know that Allen will play. I think he will, but we don't know that. Like Okogie, Dunn, not really that interested. Plumlee, not really that interested. But if you do have a Grayson Allen is probably the key for this strategy working. Again, unless Tyus Jones or Yusuf Nurkic are available. But Grayson Allen's probably the key here. So you can turn one 3-game player into 5 games of Grayson Allen with one move. That's a +2 already. Then with your other roster spot, which is the 3-game player. So we've lost 6 games through our standard bottom 2 players. With that other player there, you've got 1 roster spot now and 3 moves left. So you can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So you can get 6 games out of that other roster spot with 3 moves. That gives you a +3. You've turned a 3-game player into Grayson Allen, which is a +2. So that then turns those 2 roster spots into 11 games. But that is highly dependent on who is available in Phoenix. And I think the only guy that probably gets us there is Grayson Allen. Nurkic, Jones, Allen, who's the guys who may conceivably be available depending on your league strategy. They are the only guys that would... Dunn's 5 games will be 5 games. But they might be, let's say, 100 minutes, which is the equivalent of a 3-game player playing 30 minutes or 33 minutes, or a 4-game player playing 25. It's not as interesting. It's not as useful. So and maybe I need to do this more, and maybe we need to start a charge for this, is that I talk a lot about games. Realistically, it's more about minutes. How many minutes are you getting in? Because a 3-game player playing 30 minutes is 90 minutes, obviously. A 4-game player who plays 20 minutes is 80 minutes. Not as good. A 5-game player playing 20 minutes is 100 minutes, which is the same as a 4-game player playing 25 minutes. But if you find a 4-game player playing 30, then that's better than a 5-game guy. So maybe we do need to talk minutes in terms of those roster spots. So that's why I say that you can get a +5 extra games this week, but it's got to be the right Phoenix Sun. Jones, Nurkic, Allen. And then using that other roster spot to get 6 games using 3 outs. And I hope that was explained well enough, that I didn't confuse you. If that was explained well enough, please tell me down in the comments. If it wasn't, also tell me down in the comments, and someone else might be able to explain it to you better in written form. That's also possible. Got more schedule stuff to talk about, but today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, and PrizePicks is here to tell you and tell me, and I'm going to tell you as well via them, that basketball season is heating up, and there is no better way to get real money action while watching your favorite NBA stars than with PrizePicks. You might just love some friendly competition. You may be really into the NBA. Of course you are. You're watching this show. PrizePicks makes it easy and fun to turn your basketball knowledge into cash. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. If you think someone like LeBron might get 30, well, there you go. You can choose more or less. You can look at, let's say, Devin Booker and his assist number. You can go more or less on that. Put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. It is now also the perfect time to join PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win. You just need to play and get that bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, so we talked about your streaming. We talked about the scheduling part of that show. Let's look at some other sort of schedule quirks now across week 12 in the NBA. In terms of teams that have the weekend off, it is Golden State and Golden State only. Now, as we know, Saturday, Sunday, Golden State this week in week 11 play the back-to-back. Next week, no games on the weekend. There are 2 teams that don't play a game until Wednesday, and that is Cleveland and Oklahoma City. So they're off Monday and off Tuesday. And when you're streaming in a Casey Wallace, if you're streaming in an Aaron Wiggins, a Lou Dort, a Max Strus, a Karis LeVert, a Dean Wade, you're getting zeros for 2 days. Not worth it. Those guys are not good enough in 10 or 12 or probably mostly 14-team leagues to hold through that nonsense. There's only one team this week. It is a busy week. There's only one team this week that has a 3-day off period, and that is the Sacramento Kings, and they are also the same team that's got 1 game in 5 nights. So between Tuesday and Thursday, the Kings don't play. They got 3 days off. They play Monday, they play Friday. But between Tuesday and Saturday, that's it. That's all they play. So they don't even have a Friday, Saturday back-to-back on that. So they're off Tuesday, they're off Wednesday, they're off Thursday, they play Friday, they're off Saturday. So if you're looking at Keon Ellis, again, who's been very good without Keegan Murray, and I just don't know how he plays 34 minutes when Keegan's back. Not sure how it works. But you're going to be in a period here where you might theoretically, again, not telling you not to have Keon Ellis because it's working at the moment, but you might have a period, but Tuesday for Tuesday through Saturday, which is 5 nights, where you might get 25 minutes out of one roster slot. And that doesn't cut it a lot of the time. That doesn't cut it. 25 minutes, it might be 30 minutes out of one roster slot in 5 days. That's pretty bad because you can theoretically turn that one roster slot and get, let's say, 25 minutes a night out of it. You could get 125 minutes in that one roster slot over that time frame. And you always got to ask yourself the question, is Keon Ellis, I'm just going to use his name, is Keon Ellis good enough to sacrifice 100 minutes during the week? Because we are getting midway of the season. We are getting to the stage where you go, hey, where am I in the standings? What do I do here? Am I actually playing is it do or die for me this week? And if you saw even like me when I give the results of my leagues last week in industry pickup, I was second. I beat the top team. I dropped to 6th. That is how close things can be. That is how crazy things can happen in 1 week. After I was second, I beat the top team and I moved down to 6th. So even I thought I was sitting pretty well. Look how good my team's going. I just beat the top 10. I'm going to be cranking. No, I'm 6th. I'm on the fringe of the playoffs after winning. So yeah, there are things to pay attention to. If we look at 3 games in 4 nights, there's quite a few of these periods, and this is another way. If you are using multiple roster slots to stream guys in, getting 3 and 4 is the best thing that you can do. Sunday to Wednesday, so we're starting in week 11 into week 12. It's New Orleans and Washington. Monday to Thursday, as you'll note, this is a very busy period of the schedule. Dallas, Detroit, Miami, Minnesota, Phoenix, Portland, Toronto, all got 3 games, 4 nights to kick off the week. We'd probably say tip-off, wouldn't we? But kickoff just sounds better. It just rolls off the tongue better. So that is 7 teams with 3 games in 4 nights to begin the week. Tuesday to Friday, Denver, Golden State, New Orleans, and Washington. So you'll notice New Orleans and Washington mentioned twice. Between Sunday and Friday, they've got 2 individual 3-game in 4-night periods. And then Wednesday to Saturday, it is Detroit, it is Portland, it is Toronto. And the keen observers of you will also notice that is a double up of Detroit, Portland, and Toronto. So between Monday and Saturday, those teams have 2 periods of 3 games in 4 nights. So their 4 games all are within 6 days, correct? Yes. And then to finish out the week, Thursday to Sunday, there are 4 teams that have 3 games in 4 nights at the end of the week. We're looking at between Thursday and Sunday. That is the Orlando Magic, the Charlotte Hornets, the Phoenix Suns, and the Utah Jazz have 3 games in 4 nights at the end of the week, Thursday through Sunday. I don't even know the date. We finish on the 12th, I believe. That's enough info on that. What about 4 games in 6 nights? Another interesting period of a schedule where you can concentrate games in. So Sunday of week 11 through to Friday, it's Golden State, New Orleans, Orlando, Washington. Monday through to Saturday, Detroit, Miami, Minnesota, Phoenix, Portland, Toronto. So they are 6 of the 18 teams that play 4 games. 6 of them do it within the first 6 days of the week. So that's another way that you can actually get 5 games out of a roster slot if you wanted to, is that you can use those players, add them on the Monday, get 4 games in, drop them, and then get a 1-day stream on Sunday. So that would turn a 3-game slot into a 5-game slot. That's another way of doing it. 3 games, 5 games, 1 roster slot, 2 ads. Takes us back to that original stream zone area where if you do that twice, you get a +4 across 2 roster slots, which is still the same. But you can do it. Then there are 6 teams here that play their 4 games for the week between Tuesday and Sunday. Charlotte, Denver, New Orleans, Phoenix, Utah, and Washington. So out of the 18 teams that play 4 games this week, 12 of them do it in a 6-day period. 6 go Monday to Saturday. 6 go Tuesday to Sunday, meaning the other 6 do it between Monday and Sunday. Yep, we got that part of it. I think we're good. There are a bunch of teams with a very, very not the 5 and 7. That's Phoenix, but there are a bunch of teams with 5 games in 8 nights. across this week. So we start Sunday of week 11. We go to Sunday of week 12. Phoenix, who has 5 games in 7 nights, Monday to Sunday, we know that. But then it's Charlotte, New Orleans, Orlando, Phoenix, Utah, Washington. And then Monday of week 12 into Monday of week 13, another 8-day period. It's Detroit, Miami, Minnesota, New York, Phoenix, Toronto, Washington. Of course, we know that Phoenix's 5 games is actually just 5 games in 7 nights, Monday to Sunday. But what you will notice there is the last name on both of those lists is Washington. So Washington's got 5 games in 8 nights, Sunday to Sunday. Washington has 5 games in 8 nights, Monday to Monday. So what does that mean? Well, if you want a team that's got a real bulk schedule, it's Washington, because they've got 6 games in 9 nights. Between Sunday of week 11 to Monday of week 13, encapsulating the 7 days of week 12 in the middle, it's the Wizards. So they have 6 games in 9 nights. So they play Sunday, they play 4 games during the week, then they play Monday the week after. So it is this is more for if you were in, say, a roto league with a cap on how many moves you can make, then like you're getting bulk Wizards games in here. Bulk opportunities for a Champagny, for a Bilal, for a Sarr, I guess, Kuzma. I say I guess because Sarr should just be rostered. A Kispert maybe, a Carrington, that's the name that I was searching for that I wasn't really getting to. Let's look at back-to-backs, because basically every day this week there is a back-to-back apart from one, which is key when you are streaming to know that. Because, again, with this week, with everyday streamable, we look to back-to-backs to get our value in. So Sunday to Monday, it's Orlando and Sacramento. Monday to Tuesday, it's Dallas, Miami, Minnesota, Phoenix. What you need to watch there, of course, is to see if anyone's likely to rest. And Phoenix will be interesting. 5 games, 7 nights, injury-prone, beaten-up players. And in the past, Budenholzer's been very health-conscious. Unfortunately, it feels like that the players on this team may be overriding some of the common-sense things that he's done in the past. It's working out fantastically well for them. They've been so good this year with terms of injury prevention and general health, and even just their form in general. So that idea of overriding Budenholzer's successful regular season format, obviously, it's been amazing. It's just worked so well for Phoenix, and every team should take note of how good it is to move away from a winning formula. Dallas, Miami, Minnesota, Phoenix is Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Denver, New Orleans, Washington. Wednesday, Thursday, Cleveland, Detroit, Portland, Toronto. Are there any back-to-back rest risks there? I would say Detroit has a marginal rest risk on Cade, who's popped up on the injury report with a knee soreness issue, so just watch that one. Cleveland, I think, will be okay. Portland, don't think quickly is going to be at risk of that, but you never know. That's Toronto, sorry. Portland with Jeremy Grant, okay, cool, whatever. New Orleans, the only reason I'd be worried there is if, say, Zion appeared, then he wouldn't play both of those games on the back-to-back. And then to end the week, Thursday through to Friday, we're getting close to end of the week anyway. We've got Golden State and Orlando with the Thursday, Friday back-to-back. Remembering Golden State, Thursday, Friday, and then they don't play on the weekend. And it is important to note that Steph Curry, at least for the, please say it, for the foreseeable future, Steph Curry is going to be sitting one game of back-to-backs with his knee. It looks like. That is the word from Steve Kerr. And we know that his word is his bond, and we know that what he says sticks for a very long time. So it does seem that Steph is going to sit back-to-backs. So they've got a Thursday, Friday back-to-back, which means the value in Dennis Schroeder, the value in John Kuminga, the value in, not Buddy Hield, but yeah, anyone who's good has value there. And then you'll note that there's no Friday to Saturday back-to-back. That's the time where you can't get the 2 games in. But what you can do is get the weekend in. Charlotte, Phoenix, and Utah. The problem there is there's a lot of garbage in that team. But you often can find a good streamer in Charlotte, whether it's a Josh Green or a Cody Martin, if he's available. Whatever the hell is going on with Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball. BDNR there, because Mark Williams will sit one of those games. You're going to get a little bit of back-to-back action from Charlotte, and then you got Phoenix and Utah. Yeah, who knows? Big Johnny Juzang moment, I'm guessing, we could be looking at there. We'll come back and talk about some more little updates in terms of injuries and some weekly league stuff as well. No, actually, we will talk weekly league, only briefly though. I don't want to edge you too much on that. Today's episode is brought to you though by FanDuel Sportsbook. You've got big upsets. You've got game-winning drives. That's the NFL playoffs. And the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel right now. New customers can bet $5 and you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. $200 in bonus bets win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything that you need for live bets, same game parlays, and much more. You can check out that for the NFL playoffs, but of course the NBA is still rolling. You can go and check out all the odds over there for game totals and spreads and money lines, the same game parlays, the individual props, the futures, all that stuff. You can check out at FanDuel for your favorite team, your not favorite team, whatever team you want to look at, whatever sport you want to look at. FanDuel will have you covered. So go to FanDuel.com and join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, what are we going to move on to now? What we're going to move on to now is actually just talking about some injuries and which players are potentially going to miss or potentially going to be available to return during the week. These guys, I'm very certain, won't play this week during Week 12, so we'll just go through this list. Chet Holmgren, Santi Aldama, Demetrius Morant, Jim Butler, we definitely know will not play. He is suspended for the entirety of this week and some of next week. Luka Doncic, Vince Williams Jr., he is also going to be out for this week. Franz Wagner, Marcus Smart, a lot of Grizzlies on that list, you'll note. Jabari Smith Jr., which I haven't addressed yet on this show. He has a broken hand, Jabari. 4 to 8 weeks, which is a very weird time frame to give. I believe he's getting surgery, which is usually 6 weeks. So we'll see on that. The question there at Houston's, Amen Thompson off his suspension is going to be the ad. They started Jeff Green. He played 29 minutes last game. He won't play that many minutes each game. The question's going to be is what do you do with Tari maybe never season? Because if Eason was available, whether he would start or not, his minutes would go up. And he would probably play 27 or 28. But the man hasn't played for almost 3 weeks. I don't know when he's coming back. And when he does come back, his minutes are going to be limited. So while in theory, it's an absolute smash spot for Tari Eason, it's not. Because A, he may not play, and B, when he does, he might be limited. Now, I do believe that if Jabari Smith is going to be out for 8 weeks, we will get 4 very, very good weeks of Tari Eason. But you might get zeros. So I would 100% prefer Amen Thompson there. People will rush to add Cam Whitmore. We saw Cam Whitmore play 33 minutes last game, and he shoots. He does shoot the ball. He scored not very well, and he doesn't do anything else. And again, you are reinserting Amen Thompson, and I'm guessing 35 minutes of Amen Thompson into that lineup. Remember last season when Alperen Şengün went down? Amen Thompson basically played center. Yes, it was Jabari Smith playing center, but we got a lot of Amen Thompson at center. So Amen playing at the 4 or Dylan Brooks at the 4 will work, or they'll do that. So those minutes that Whitmore got, you've got to get 5 minutes of Amen back in there. Does that mean Jeff Green plays 0? That possibly. But that still means Whitmore loses out. So Whitmore's fine. He is limited. And if Eason and Amen are both back, well, you won't get enough to justify Cam Whitmore as a 12-team guy, I think. For now, do it, and we'll see what happens. But Amen will be back next game. The last one on that is Bojan Bogdanovic, who at this point is just a figment of our imaginations. These are a bunch of guys that could play this week. Some of them I don't think will, but there are guys that could play. Brandon Podziemski, I do think will return this week. He's dealing with this oblique issue, but Steve Kerr keeps telling us it's not serious and he's day-to-day, and that was a week ago. We'll see where we go there. Royce O'Neal, maybe at the end of the week, but I wouldn't bother with him in most situations. The big one to me here is going to be Zion Williamson. It does seem like he's going to return this week, and like I said, I think they had that Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. I wouldn't be surprised if Zion plays on like the Wednesday. Well, maybe I would, given it's Zion, but I think there's a chance that he's back. Brandon Ingram, I'm less certain of. I think if Ingram does return, it'll be towards the end of the week on the weekend, but there is a possibility Ingram is back. I just talked about Tari Eason. Maybe he returns, maybe he doesn't. They are being incredibly coy, and the fact that they downgrade him to doubtful gives me obviously more doubts. And then Aaron Nesmith, who's been out for like almost 2 months with this ankle sprain, his return might be coming. We could also be in the spot where Aaron Gordon is back from his second calf strain. We will see. I think they would like to be a little bit more cautious with that, but he could return. Keegan Murray with the ankle issue, Jeremy Grant with the face. They don't appear to be significant injuries, so I think they probably do return. Ayo Dosunmu with his reevaluation in 10 days, doubtful status, Achilles problem. I would think middle of the week is a real chance for Dosunmu. Kelly Oubre, wrist sprain. We haven't heard anything apart from they just list him as doubtful each game. So maybe he's a guy that plays again this week. And then the other one, the other long-term guy who's probably back this week, I don't know if probable is the right word, but possibly back, is Paolo Banchero. I thought maybe we'd get it in the week between Christmas and New Year, as I heard someone call it, Gooch Week. maybe Paolo could have come back in Gooch week. He didn't. I think this is I would say we are over 50% likely that Banchero is back this week. So, yeah, get ready for that. Some other injuries which don't, again, appear to be anything serious or long-term, but Jaylen Brown has missed 2 in a row with a shoulder issue, which I think is part of the fact that the Celtics had a busy period of the schedule and is clearly banged up slightly. I think you'll be okay to go in week 12. And then there's the Charlotte nonsense. Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball just out for like 10 days with soreness. Why? I don't know. I don't know what happened there. What is actually going on? I hope they're available to play, but it is incredibly frustrating that both of these players have now missed this week and a half, and that is annoying. That is unbelievably annoying, and I won't say be panicked because that literally does nothing. You don't benefit from panicking, but you should be looking at it and going, what are you guys doing? And if only Charlotte mattered in the eyes of the league, well, then maybe they would pay more attention to that. I would think, though, the fact that LaMelo Ball is leading the Eastern Conference in All-Star votes, that the league would be coming in and saying, hey, any chance we get to chat to a doctor or something here, much like we did when we provided the fake fine onto Trae Young? Any chance of us doing that for our leading All-Star vote getter who is out for a random soreness issue? Can we maybe just see what's going on there? Something seems a bit fishy. Can we just have a chat? You'd think the league would do that. If they're going to provide this sort of fake oversight, this would be the opportunity for them to do that. Also, by the way, on those All-Star vote leaders, I saw 2 things that infuriated me in equal amounts. The talk about from inside the NBA, again, unbelievable analysis from these guys. They're on top of their game. They just know everything about what they're talking about. When they're talking about why Brunson and Mitchell weren't leading the votes and how Charles Barkley was calling it ridiculous, and then Shaq's going, Chuck, it doesn't matter, man. Like, that's LaMelo's balling and the fans vote, so what the fans want, that means he gets in, which, of course, is not how it works. And one slip up, I'll give you a pass, Shaq. You got something wrong, one wrong. That's cool. But yeah, saying, what's the fans vote? If they vote you, you get in. Again, not how it works. But then the post that I saw that I quote tweeted about that was talking about it was everyone saying, oh my God, Shaq's such a hater. Why is he being such... He hates the Knicks. He hates the Knicks so much. Why does he hate the Knicks so much? To me, that phrase is not hating the Knicks. It was just saying LaMelo Ball's leading the votes because the fans voted him in. But I don't know. Anyway, that's beside the point. Cam Johnson might be available to play. He might not. He sprained his ankle. He was on crutches. I would say that Johnson has a chance of being available end of the week, but I don't know. Jalen Suggs had that back issue, which they call back spasms. We know that this man seems to recover at Anthony Davis levels, and you might think that that's not true because Anthony Davis, I know that he goes to the locker room all the time. The way that this man looks like he's in extreme pain, Anthony Davis, goes to the locker room, and then either comes back the same game or the next game, is ridiculous. It happens all the time. He has this, I won't say it's fast recovery, but like a pain tolerance that makes it look really bad and then it recovers straight away. And Suggs has shown that as well this season. I don't know about his back, but they called it spasm, so he probably does play. Of course, Mr. Black, which is his backup, is also out. And if both of those guys are out, then yeah, we do use Cole Anthony in that spot. The other one we're not sure about is Bradley Beal. Now, one thing I do know 100% for certain, Beal will not play 5 games this week. That will not happen. He's dealing with a hip contusion. They've got 5 games in 7 nights. There is 0 chance Brad Beal plays 5 games. It's not happening. But I would say he makes an appearance at some point during the week. And that's really where we're at. Now, I'm not doing like hey, this is a weekly league. What do you do with the 2-game players? Who do you start and sit? Because there's no teams that played 2 games this week, and there are 11 teams that played 3 games. So it's very hard for me to make specific calls to tell you, start this guy, don't start this guy. This is the guy to look at in that sort of spot. It's very hard to do that in a weekly format type situation. But again, when 19 teams are playing 4 games or 5 games, they are your priorities. But again, I'm saying again a lot. Don't know why. Maybe it's my new vocal tick. But when we're looking at this, I think looking at minutes might be more beneficial. So we can say you get a 4 or 5 game player in, but I would say that you want to have somebody who you project to be at least like 90 minutes. Because your 3-game player, I would guess, in a standard format, is probably a 27 minimum minute a night player. So if you're getting that, which is 90 minutes, you want that 4-game guy to be 90 minutes. You want the 5-game guy to be 90 minutes to actually get more of that production. And then it comes down to how you value them on a per minute basis and all that sort of stuff. But I think that's probably the next frontier in terms of analyzing fantasy, is going a little bit away from games and into minutes, because in the end, we can talk about games played, and I say about the volume is important, but when they happen is also important. But I think those minutes also become even more important to talk about, so we don't get into a confusing binary 4 better than 3, because it's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily the case. What is necessarily the case is that you can thumb this video, and I would love it. I'd love to receive a thumb up from you. And you can comment on it, of course. But what I actually do want from you is to be kind to yourself. Start with that. Be kind to others, but be kind to yourself. And acknowledge that you've done a good thing. I want you to have done a good thing. I know you've done a good thing. I've done a good thing. I woke up this morning, I had a coffee. It was great. Got the dog, everything done. He got his morning treat. He had his water. That's small, right? But it's good. It's good. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.